Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's KeKe, and this is episode 12 featuring Olawunmi Bakare, registered nurse. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you for those who have subscribed, and thank you for just having amazing friends that want to come on the show and new people that I'm networking with and meeting that want to also come on the show. So shout out to everyone. And further, let's just go ahead and get it started. And let's introduce Olawunmi Bakare, who is a registered nurse.
Hey.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm good. So me and Olawunmi, we go way back, friends from back in the day. So thank you for coming on. And I have a, dear place in my heart for nurses. So thank you for your service and thank you for what you do. Because it's not easy.
No, not at all.
And I know because my mom was a pediatric nurse. Shout out to Nurse Mary for 25 plus years dealing with everybody's bad kid. I'm just playing. Dealing with kids in the pediatric field. But, so I know it's hard work. And so thank you for giving us your insight today. Before we chop it up about the nursing career, now, you have always been someone that I could come to ask questions, like my smart friend that I always know something, know how to do my taxes, So, before you got into nursing, was this something that you was thinking about going into, or was it something else at the beginning?
So initially, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be in the medical field, but I wanted to be a doctor. Mm-hmm. That was my goal. So the plan was finish school, go to med school, be a doctor, and be a pediatric doctor at that. Life just didn't happen that way, unfortunately for me. So had to figure out other things. And so I was like, okay, nursing's still in the medical field. So it'll still kind of get me in the path of where I'm trying to go. And so probably 5 or 6 years ago, I was like, okay, let's pivot and try that.
So what was your game plan initially going in? Did you tap into doing the medical field, with, different skill sets, and you were like, well, the doctor field might not be the route to go right now, or no. Was it just life?
It was just life, because I was working at a call center for one cell phone company. I switched to another cell phone company, and I'm still trying to get things back together and get back to school. And even I was applying to things in the medical field, but because I didn't have any medical field experience, they weren't really letting me in. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't until I actually started school that I was able to get into the medical field, because I literally only did a year in the medical field before I actually graduated from nursing school.
Okay. And what was your school of choice that you ended up going to?
I ended up going to Western Governors University. I chose it because it was an online-based school that was quote unquote flexible with working adults. So that's why I chose it. To an extent, yes, it was flexible, because since lectures and everything were online, you kind of went at your pace, but there were still hard deadlines and hard stops. And then things like clinicals, those weren't as flexible. The good thing about it is we knew when they were, as in the window of opportunity of when you were going to clinicals, but you didn't know what days you had. You didn't know if you were day shift or night shift. So you definitely had to have an employer that was willing to work with you.
Yeah, I've heard of that. And, that's just a good point too. Just having that knowledge that schools like that exist, where you still can go in the medical field and have that flexibility, because there's a lot of people that are like, well, I'm a single parent, or I'm trying to work this job, but how can I fit it in? So
Exactly.
I mean, sometimes it's
not everybody has the luxury of having someone that can finance them while they're going to school, or somebody that can watch their kids while they're at school, especially when traditional school is Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday during normal business hours.
Yeah.
So having that option was one of the best things I ever did.
Yeah. Because flexibility and still making your dreams come true, or just still moving in purpose, moving towards what you're trying to do, is like having that spirit, which I've always known you to have that spirit as a go-getter. Like, to get it done, you're going to get it done. You're going to go the extra mile above and beyond. So that makes you an excellent, person to be in the medical field, but also you're caring and compassionate, which is, you have to be.
You have to, because the patients, they're sick, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be nice.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you have to look past what it is that they're giving you and not try and keep that energy, because you keep that energy and you'll drop down to their level, and that's not good.
Yeah. Having that rapport to, take control of who you are and not let feed into that I know it's hard. And even like working in customer service for years, it was hard. But like your skills, even in being in the call center and taking those calls, and somebody wants it fixed right now.
Exactly.
Like, that still is a customer service skill that you still have to have in nursing.
It's in person this time.
Yeah. And what setting are you working in currently?
I'm in a hospital working on a cardiology floor.
Wow. So, and are you working 12-hour shifts?
Yep. I just finished 6 12-hour shifts in a row.
Well, thank you for coming on the show with no sleep. She's like, I put tape on my eyelids to stay awake today. And so how is that? Do you get your choice in what floors you want to be, or you kind of are trajected into that?
You can choose, it's basically based on what they have available and the times that they have their residencies. So coming out of nursing school, something that they started doing in the past couple of I want to say 5 years or so, it's probably maybe a little longer than that, but they started doing residencies, because before you would just go and just hit the floor running. Now they do residencies where they basically it's orientation, but it's like very focused to teach you about your specific floor, expound on your nursing knowledge from school. And so it, depending on the department, it can run anywhere from 8 weeks to 16 or 20 weeks, just depending on the department and the acuity level of that department.
Wow. So I never knew that it depended on the residencies. I can't even speak. Goodness. Somebody give me a grammar course. But yeah, I didn't even know that it depended on that. Like I thought you applied and you're like, okay, this is open, and that's how it worked. But I didn't know it was based on that. So that's
because I applied to a residency at a couple of hospitals. Like, I was looking to go into the ICU, but it didn't happen. So I ended up on this cardiology floor, and because although it is still a medical surgical floor, it's a little more advanced, because they do take what they call drips, so medications that are having to be titrated, or so you change the levels, and they're continuously going. So I took it because it gave me the experience of being able to titrate drips, because that's something that you do in the ER, in the ICU, excuse me, and they don't really do that on a lot of regular floors.
Okay,
let me get this experience here, and then once I get this experience, I can try and transition where I'm trying to go.
Look, see, I told you, she thinks She's smart. She's ambitious. And something, from having two kids, like I feel like a lot of the nurses try to fight to be on like the maternity ward. Do you see
Because
that happen?
it is one of the best specialties, and it's very, very hard to get in. Very hard to get in. Like extremely hard to get in.
Wow.
Especially for people of color.
Mm-hmm.
So ICU, labor and delivery, those are like the hardest specialties for people of color to get in. But we need a lot more of us in those specialties.
Yeah. Because I've been hearing a lot, with the medical field, with women of color not getting the same treatment as others. And there's more stories and more women coming forward, that I've known personally that, one lady, she could have been treated a little bit better, but she ended up having a blood clot after having her child and passed away. And that's something that could have been resolved before she left.
Yeah. They don't they have to listen to us, but it's a whole lot of medical bias that people still feed into. And if there's more of us there, it's where there's more of us to watch us.
Mm-hmm. And I even feel like when I had when I didn't have postpartum with my first is so much, but my second child had bad postpartum, and like I didn't want to do anything, I didn't want to go out, and I went to my doctor, but they're kind of just looking at me like, what do you want us to do, just put you in the psych ward? And I'm just like, no, that's not what I want to do. And I felt like I'm not being listened to.
And I don't like that.
Yeah, it's the only option. That's the only option for me. Not, maybe here, let's get you a therapist today, or, what I'm saying? Because postpartum is real, and, from experience it firsthand, that gets overlooked. Though it's just hormones. It's just this. She's just trying to get attention, which I'm low key. Even though I'm a Leo, I'm low key. Like I'm not trying to get that kind of attention. That's not wanted attention to be like, oh, she's crazy,
And when they throw out it's hormones, it is hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being flooded with all these hormones, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it just drops out of nowhere. They never tell anybody to quit any kind of medication or anything cold turkey. So it's the same thing with your hormones when you're pregnant versus when you're not pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
When that baby comes out, those hormones stop. Yeah. And now your body has to readjust to hormones that they've been living on for 9 months.
Exactly.
So it's definitely hormones, but it's a lot more than that. And having having support from your doctor is very important.
Mm-hmm.
But without us being in the field, it's hard because again, there's those medical biases that people still live by.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've heard it. That they can take it. They can take the pain. Their pain tolerance is more, and like what? Huh?
No, it's not.
No, ma'am. So so it's good that. Well, I'm glad that you're at least there, and and I know if you was my nurse that I would be straight. I might just request you and be like, hey, I'm over here at Keystone. Come over here just for the day. But no, for real, like I said earlier with my mom, like she was one that always like went above and beyond like the call of duty. And like I know as a nurse, like the attention to detail, like paying attention to your patients and what they're doing and how they're moving, how they're looking.
Exactly.
You have to take time to do that.
Little changes if they're noticed early enough, can make a world of difference.
Mm-hmm. Has there been any circumstances you had kind of that you were like, you caught something that was going underlooked before?
I had a patient who, when I came on shift, he was complaining of being short of breath, but they didn't think nothing of it. Put him on oxygen, left it at that. I went in the room, did my assessment, checked on him, gave him his medications. He still seemed a little off, but he, I asked all the questions, did all the checks, everything seemed well. Not even 5 minutes later, I go back and check on him. He's literally drenched in sweat.
Wow.
I was like, okay, yeah, something's not right. So immediately started.
Well, we lost her for a minute. Let's see.
Yeah, so he immediately just drenched in sweat. So immediately started checking his vitals. I couldn't get a blood pressure on him because for some reason his blood pressure just tanked out of nowhere. So I had engaged our rapid response team. They came, gave fluids, and it just noted, because like I said, I noticed he kept saying, "Oh, I'm fine," but he was still just breathing hard in the beginning. So I was like, okay, something's not right. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on him. So when I went back to check on him, because it wasn't even time for me to go check on him yet, and I technically still had other patients to go handle, I was like, something just didn't feel right. So that's why I went back. And sure enough, had I not gone back, he could have easily lost his pulse or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's just always just paying attention to those little details. And sometimes it's not that easy because, there's, especially when you have a heavy patient load, get through to make sure you see everybody and get everything done. But you just have to sometimes just sit back and think, okay, this is what they came in for. This is what I'm seeing now. This doesn't look like what I saw in the beginning, or this doesn't look like what they told me was going on during the previous shift. So let's look into it a little deeper.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he was glad that you was on the rotation that day. and that was just your intuition. Your intuition was like, well, let me just keep a special eye on this one. Because a lot of times your patients and your rotation, everybody's fine and eating their little snacks or whatever. But you're, following your gut, your intuition, good hindsight. I say it would still make you an excellent doctor in the future.
Yeah, you sound like my dad.
Let me put in my bid.
He's like, oh, so you can go to med school now. I said, yeah, no, don't do that. Let's finish nursing school. Let me get through this first.
Yeah. You're like, let me just get my bearings, because exactly. It still is like you said, like getting the experience, because even being a doctor versus a nurse, I feel like nurses are more hands-on. They see more, they're more active, versus the doctor comes, do their thing, and they're out until you need them. Exactly. So it's still a good learning curve to even go the nursing route for a while. And who knows, you might blame. All right, I'm gonna switch it up because I'm ready. Exactly. Not anybody else. I'm ready to do this because I'm tired of these doctors not doing what they need to do. I'm just playing. She doesn't say that. She doesn't say that, y'all.
I know.
She loves you all. She loves all of you. Like, girl, we saw you in that interview. You got something to say?
Like, huh? What you talking about?
That wasn't me. It was your name on the screen. It wasn't me. Well, thank you so much for your insight and advice. And I know you're tired because I can see the tape peeling off your eyelashes now. Your eyes are getting lower. So we always like to close out the interview with a quote that resonates with you. But guess what? This resonates with me too. But here's our quote.
Yes. Actions speak louder than words.
Put it in a nutshell. I mean, it speaks for itself, but put it in a nutshell. What you need from that? What is going on?
I'm always going to believe what you do versus what you say, because you'll tell me anything.
Did y'all hear that? Okay. She's talking to you. Okay. She's gonna send this video to somebody and say, just watch the end. Just watch the end. Don't worry about everything else. Just watch the end.
Exactly. That's all that's important.
Well, yes, actions always speak louder than words, and your actions as a nurse is appreciated. And I know your bed is going to be appreciated. And but yes, in the future, I'm confident you'll go above and beyond, because I have no doubt with you, the sky's the limit.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But until next time, we'll check in with you later.
All right.
Thanks for being on.
And thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Let's KeKe episode 12. And yes, nurses have a special place in my heart. I love you, Mom. And I love you, Olawunmi. And, I just want everybody just to, be kinder to nurses, be kinder to everyone. If you want to come on the show, please feel free to email us at letskekeshow@gmail.com. It's scrolling below right now. And remember to move in purpose, to do random acts of kindness. You can do something as far as just take a cart from somebody. You're going to the store. That's a simple random act that nobody expects, right? But until next time, please like and subscribe, share, and we'll talk later.